Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be showcasing my Bateater composition for the clan boss, which I think is by far the best overall clan boss team that you can build in Raid. I will show you everything you need to know from total stats, masteries, gear, an infographic, and everything that goes into it. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and first of all, just a couple things before we dive into this. I do have a dedicated video showcasing the build in its entirety from start to finish, where Deadwood Jedi and I were hanging out, having some fun on Christmas Eve, interacting with the chat, and building it from start to finish. I will link to that right over there if you want to see. If you're very interested in this composition, if you're thinking about building it, that might be a video worth watching from start to finish. And then I also want to make sure you know, just in case you're new to Raid or new to my channel or something, I want to show you the deadwoodjedi.com clan boss calculator. It is an absolutely amazing tool. If you are trying to optimize your clan boss team, this is something that everybody out there should be using and taking advantage of, because it is one of the best tools to ever get released for Raid Shadow Legends. So definitely check out deadwoodjedi.com if you haven't already. I will link to that down below. But let's get that put away and let's pull up the actual infographic here for the team that I run. So here you can see the 80 million damage on Ultra Nightmare, the champions involved, the total stats, the gear, and then what they do. You can see down in the middle there, we've got Draco doing defense down, weaken, and damage. That is his role. And then Seeker, we've got enabler and damage. He comes in right after your DPSer usually. You can see him doing almost 14 million. Everybody else is down 6, 9, 9. That's why Painkeeper, Maneater, and Maneater are just listed as enablers. They're just there to make the comp work, to make it live 50 turns. You do want to build them for damage because you can go glass cannon when it's unkillable. So you do want to get them with like crit rate and stuff. You can see they've all got pretty good crit rate. And then you get whatever damage you can on them, but they're not going to be cranking out damage like your flex spot. What makes the composition work and actually live the full rotation is the Seeker, Painkeeper, Maneater, and then that fifth spot is a flex spot where you typically want to put somebody with defense down and weaken that cranks out damage. Draco is a perfect candidate. Other ones that are really good are Rosin, Fane, Bellinor, anybody that does damage and places the decreased defense and weaken. So let's just go ahead and walk through the champions here one by one. In case you're going to be building this, I want to be able to show you the masteries and the stats. So for my damage dealer, Draco, this is going to be the total stats. On your damage dealer, you definitely got to get to 100% crit rate and make sure you've got good accuracy. You're placing those crucial debuffs, decreased defense and weaken, and then in Draco's case, the poisons as well. So you've got to get above 250 accuracy. Going much over that isn't going to help you very much. Once you get to 255 or so, you can basically stop. You're not getting any benefit from being like 300 plus accuracy. It maxes out at, I believe, 255. So going over that is massive diminishing returns. You just want to aim for like 250 basically when you're going to be doing Ultra Nightmare. But you can see here the 100% crit rate, 250 crit damage, great accuracy at 285, and the good attack at 4600. Draco able to crank out 40-something million damage in this composition. Now, masteries are very important in an unkillable comp. A lot of people mess up the masteries. You can't take anything when you're building a specific rotation like an unkillable. Unkillable comps are very finicky. If you've already built one, you know this. If you have not built one, you're about to find out. You got to get the speeds perfect. Lore of Steel here can mess things up. Speed sets can mess things up. It can throw off the true speed. There's just the counter attacks can mess it up, especially when they have abilities that can ruin things in the rotation. Any turn meter filling, there's a lot of things you got to be careful with. So I'll make sure and show you the masteries just in case you're curious. And then we're going to bust out the perfect Veil Cloak just so you can see the masteries here on the offense tree, so in case you wanted to screenshot that or something. And then let's go ahead and move on to the Painkeeper. So with Painkeeper, obviously the most important thing is just going to be getting the speed right, getting the rotation to be proper. So you got the 239 speed, and besides that, go ahead and build for damage. She's not going to do very much, but you might as well. It's an unkillable comp. That's why you can see the crit rate and then the crit damage I'm able to get on there. And then we'll go ahead and go over the masteries just in case you are curious or want to screenshot the Painkeeper masteries or anything. There we go. All right, and now we can move on to the two different Maneaters. So for Maneater number one, they are going to be two different speeds. You can't build them exactly the same. But here we go, total stats. You can see what my Maneater is built as, and the 248 speed, and then as much damage as I can get. And then here are the masteries that I'm using on Maneater number one. Alrighty, let's bump on over to Maneater number 2. And here are the total stats that we're going with. Was able to get to 100% crit rate on this one. Like I said, the comp works great. I could optimize a few things here or there if it was super important to me to be able to one key the force. I'm going to try swapping out for someone like Feign and see if that does it. If it doesn't, then I might look into optimizing a few little things, like maybe get a little bit more crit damage or a little bit more attack on some of these and try to squeeze out that one key on force. But it's an easy breezy 2 key on every affinity, so I haven't really been worrying about it. And at 1 keys absolutely everything in the game except for force, Ultra Nightmare. But there is the total stats, the 267. That's probably the toughest thing to do in this comp, is to get a Maneater built for 267 speed. That's probably where most people are gonna struggle and hit a roadblock. Then here are the masteries on Maneater number 2. All right. Then for Seeker, as I pull up the chart here, you can see Seeker right next to Draco there, and he's got 13 million damage, so it is definitely the second most, above the 9s of the Maneaters and the 6 of the Painkeepers. So Seeker does okay damage. It's obviously not going to be anywhere near your flex DPS like a Rosin, Draco, or Feign or whatever, but he does do decent damage, so getting him in Cruel or something can help out. And if you want to see the total stats of the Seeker, they are right here, 248 speed, and then getting whatever damage you can, because he does actually do a decent amount at least. Then for the masteries, this is the Seeker masteries I've got on the team if you want to take a look. All right. Let's go ahead and touch on gear for just a little bit. So you got to be careful with speed sets. They will throw off the tune, like I said. Also, Lore of Steel can throw things off. So you're going to want to make sure you're using Deadwood's calculator, because he's got systems in place to account for all of that when you are building these things. And like I said, if you are going to build this, you may want to watch that video where I sit down with the man himself and we build this thing from start to finish. That will really give you some perspective that's going to be valuable if you're putting this thing together, and help save you time and frustration when things are getting off. Because if something's off just barely, it can throw off the whole thing. Your team dies, they do no damage, and you're like, whoa, what happened? So unkillable comps are incredible, but they are very frustrating sometimes to get tuned right and get working in the proper rotation for 50 turns. I'll pull up Draco here. The cool thing about that flex spot is it can be really optimal to go with Relentless, because remember, Draco in this composition is not the one enabling it to live 50 turns. We've got the Painkeeper, the Seeker, Maneater, and Maneater. That's who's enabling the comp. Draco is just there to crank out damage. So I'm able to put him in Relentless, and then he can go ahead, cycle through turns, take extra turns, get those A1s that hit super hard, and that's why he can just go crazy in the flex spot on Relentless gear. But other than that, it's mainly just about getting those speeds and getting everything locked down in terms of the tuning. And whatever damage you can get besides that is, hey, great, why not? But you're going to be getting most of your damage from the flex spot, the DPS character. So let's go ahead and go on into the clan boss section here, and you'll see what I'm talking about on Ultra Nightmare. You'll see how popular the composition is in my clan. Look at the Maneater, Seeker, Painkeeper. Same comp, same comp, same comp, same comp. And then Draco, Bellinor, in that flex spot. Everybody's got a little bit of a different choice going on there in the flex spot. You'll see some Rosins and some Feigns and some Bellinor and some Draco kind of filling in. But that's why this composition is so amazing. You can see so many endgame players go this route because it's so quick to set up, like I said, and you'll see when I show you the rotation of the setup. It's so easy. It takes literally 10 seconds and you are done. You hit auto and then you just come back 15-20 minutes later to your one key damage, as long as it's not like a cross affinity to your damage dealer. So we can go ahead and pop on into an Ultra Nightmare fight. This is the setup here. We just go Draco, Seeker, Painkeeper, Maneater at the back end, and we fire it up. And I will show you how I do it. I click auto. I let the first Maneater and the Seeker do their thing. Then my second Maneater, I've got to I just do the A1. Some people say the A2. It doesn't really matter. But this one does matter. You've got to do the A3 on Painkeeper. And then boom, you can go ahead and auto. You're set. I will show you one more time just in case you missed it. So here we go on the redo. I've got it reloaded. When it starts, I just hit auto, let Maneater and Seeker do their thing. Boom, boom, done. Then A1, then A3, and we are off and running. Just like that, 9 seconds, we're rolling. That's why that was the big selling point for me in terms of wanting to build this composition. It took me forever. The hardest part of acquiring this is probably getting the 2 man-eaters because they are 2 void epics. You got to get 2 of them, which can be tough. That was brutal for me. It took me so many void shards, so many 2x void shards to finally get my 2x man-eaters. I did have really bad luck. I was probably the last content creator and one of the last people I know to be able to, especially people that played as long as me, to get it. But hey, it finally happened. I'm able to put together the comp that I always wanted to. Now, in terms of the DPS spot, you might be saying, well, isn't it the hardest part getting Draco? But you can actually easily 2-key with this comp, doing the Rosin fusion and then putting Rosin in as the DPS, or you have Fane as an epic champion. There is a few options that are able to 2 and definitely 3-key very easily on Ultra Nightmare with this comp. So I think in terms of enabling the comp, the toughest part is going to be getting the 2 void epics of the man-eater, and then the other parts are the Seeker and the Painkeeper here. But yeah, this video was going to be kind of a quicker one, just mainly designed to just showcase the composition, show you the stats, show you the masteries, talk about Deadwood's site, make sure you know about that resource, and then showing you my thought process and my team so you can compare it to one that you're building maybe if you're interested in this comp. So if you want to see the full thing from start to finish, interactive with the chat, and building it from everything that you would want to know in terms of putting together the composition while we discuss what we're doing, I do have that full video linked that I did with Deadwood hanging out on Christmas Eve. So that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.